right. This is my introduction to why I play Cannon Master, and TBH, I always feel like this monkey, very specifically right here, she's very cunty, she's demure, she's mindful of where she is. And as you all know, the class is not very much known for its cannons as much as it, or more so it's known for its monkeys. So I'm gonna have a lot of monkey memes dispersed throughout this presentation. Just for reference, I'm only currently doing C10 on this, so I don't have like the perfect perspective. I asked for a bit of information about people who do Grandis bossing and stuff like that. I imagine it's mostly the same. It's a very burst heavy class, so it doesn't change much. You just hit your buffs, you hit your bursts, and you call it a day. The first reason why I play this class is I really, like unironically, kind of like the monkey aesthetic. I think he's super cute, and I remember liking him at the beginning when they first introduced the class. They had this little, like, just a little guy following you. It's very cute. Over the years, I feel like his aesthetic has gotten a little too manufactured. We'll just say that. This is the splash art from what was the previous adventure revamp? The one that happened like 2 years ago, and this one was like the one recently. He looks a little different. It's not exactly the same monkey, but you get the point. I also really enjoy this class because of the lines that it does. I feel like this is another big thing in the game. Back a few years ago, lines were actually really important when it came to like doing party bossing with like Lucid. The golems would only take a certain amount of damage per line, so you needed a lot of classes like Dual Blader, like Cannon Master, who had really good mobbing skills that had lines so that they could do like set amounts of static damage to those mobs. But nowadays, it's just mostly there for decor. They have this one skill, the hyper skill, called Buckshot, which basically increases your final damage, so you have to have it on all the time, but it multiplies your number of lines by 3. So my mobbing skill pretty much has 12 lines, and then my bossing skill has 15 lines, which is the max amount of lines you can have on any skill. I'm just seeing lines all the time. Another reason I really enjoy this class is because there are a lot of summons, and honestly, every time I have my summons up, this is what they kind of look like. They kind of look like the sunflowers from Plants vs. Zombies, just kind of like swaying about. But there are these 2 monkeys in 4th job. The hyper skill gives you an additional monkey, but I couldn't find the gif for that. You put them down, they shoot. In 6th job, one of your masteries also gives you access to a bigger anchor. The anchor kind of sucks prior to 6th job, but in 6th job, it functions almost identically to the dark flare, the little like cloud of smoke thing that thieves use, and it has a huge AoE. So sometimes in some maps, and I'll show in a second, it can actually like triple plat. And then this is a 90-second burst skill, Rolling Rainbow. It's a summon that I throw out every now and then for mobbing, but it's super good in bossing because it just does a crap ton of damage. You don't have to think about it. You just put it down. It does a ton of lines. And in addition, in 5th job, we have this skill right here. Basically, this summons more monkeys, and the monkeys this time will follow you and do big bursts of damage. These like do a crap ton of damage for no reason, and I really like them for that. So here's a small demonstration of my training. It's super simple. Like Andre talked about a simple class. This is like, you don't even have to press your keyboard. Simple. Some of it is changing because some of the skills actually don't proc with Dawn, but I use Soul Janus Dusk, so I don't think that affects me. So as you can see, I'm just hopping to the right, putting my both of my triple plat skills down, putting my little summon at the bottom, and every now and then I just shoot towards the left using my cannon bazooka just to proc Dusk. Otherwise, everything is pretty much just killed by my summons. I can rotate between, there are 2 skills that I can rotate between that do basically AoE effects, kind of like Bowmaster. and those currently are the ones that are proccing Dusk. Yeah, like if you want a brain dead training, this is pretty brain dead. But a lot of cannoneers will actually use Dawn because they have better horizontal range. So they'll like do a super long map using the ICBMs, the cannon bazooka, whatever have you, and then like put the summons on the top platforms. Yeah, that's my summon, or that's my rotation. Another reason why I play this class is because I currently don't have any burst classes. You can kind of consider Marksman and Bowmaster hybrid classes because their damage is pretty dispersed throughout, like their window. Corsair is definitely not a burst class. This is my only current burst class, and I'm working on some more in the future, but I did kind of want a different playstyle. And with that, this is our burst. This little ICBM right here. These bullet bills with the little monkey on them, you get to charge up to 3 bullet bills at a time, and every 90 seconds, all 3 will be available. Each stack is like 30 seconds or so. So with that being said, I'm a 90-second full burst class, which is a little strange, but it makes party play pretty easily. And because it's most of its damage, if not like all of its damage, comes from these, I align really well with 3-minute parties. Because when they're mini bursting, I have my full burst. When they're full bursting, I have my full burst. The only thing I hate is every time I do some sort of boss, whether it be Dark Null when he dives, Will when he teleports, Vihilla when she teleports, or something like that, they'll move out of the range of the rockets. And there's a key function for you to essentially like release all 3 bullet bills at the same time. So they'll be shooting this way, going this way, and then the boss teleports, and I lose all of my burst. So it's kind of important to have a bind. You need about 2-3 seconds or so, a little less than 3 seconds, for all of your bullet bills to hit all of their lines before they can't attack the boss anymore. So them literally just being out of the range of it is annoying. But I also enjoy this class for utility. It can move very, very well. So as you can see, this is the full map of Hennessy's. For most classes, it would take a hot second if you're flash jumping, but I'm just doing all my key jumps. I can stay pretty airborne most of the time. I have a lot of backstep options. I have a lot of up jump options, etc., etc. But I have to say that this class does not have amazing damage. As you can see, Corsair is right there, and Cannon Master is right under it. This next buff, for everyone, we are getting a fat 0% in final damage. Technically, we are at a net negative if anyone was actually partying with a bishop prior to this. But, I think the buffs will come one day. I think they're slowly starting to recognize that the pirates are not in a very good position. Neither are the resistances, but, and likely we will get a buff because we haven't had anything since, even during the Explorer revamp, it was mostly aesthetic changes. There were no actual number changes. I do not play this class because I love gambling. There are some wacky RNG mechanics on top of roll of the dice, but in 5th job, there's a way for you to select the dice, so I guess that doesn't super matter. However, in 3rd job, there is a skill called Monkey Roulette. It gives you the options of 4 of these debuffs. The only debuff that you want is this ice one because it gives you 5% crit damage, which is fine. However, you only get 4 stacks of this buff, and it charges stacks very slowly. So sometimes I have to wait a little before I start a boss so I can charge my 4 stacks and then roll for a chance of this one, and sometimes it doesn't come up. Or sometimes a mid-boss and the buff goes away because it's 7 minutes. Or at least that's where it's literally roll and monkey. Where my buff duration, doesn't extend all the way. It's like a 7-minute buff. It goes down, and then I'm just like waiting out my timers, having to press this until I hit ice. It's very annoying. Another thing I hate is this skill right here. You have a debuff skill with a projectile that doesn't aim onto bosses automatically. It kind of just jumps around. It's a cannonball that for certain bosses, if you are too close to them, it doesn't hit. For certain bosses, like Gloom, if you're in the air, the cannonball gets stuck because it has a weird hitbox. It's just a really antiquated mechanic. It's a nice skill. Like, it's a really fun mobbing skill. Sometimes I use it when I go into CRA and just see the cannonball like hit all the mobs, so I don't even have to attack to walk into the door. However, for bossing, not a great skill, especially because you get 40% extra damage from it. If I miss that during, or like before I start my burst, I'm just straight up losing 40% damage. But at the end of the day, this class is pretty fun. It has some utility, and it's actually a support. Just like Corsair, it gives you 25% stat every time you use Pirate Spinner, and 25% IAD. It has actual party support in this skill right here. These are what most of the Cannoneers refer to as Amazon packages, because it literally rains down from the sky. But Poolmaker is one of my mobbing attacks that it has 2 intervals where it can drop these chests. Essentially, you just go up to the chest, you hit the up button, and it gives you 30% damage and 20% HP. Most Cannoneers will do this before they proc their burst, but then that gives the rest of the party another chest, and then at the end of Poolmaker's duration, 2 more chests after that. So you guys have a lot of chests or Amazon packages to pick up when you do bossing. And there is a 30-second iframe, this skill right here, the nuclear option, that essentially is one of those, y'all remember that Flash game, the Raft Wars, where you get to like angle and then shoot? It's essentially that, but most of the time I'm just holding it down for the iframe. You hold it down momentarily. On cast, it gives you iframe, and then after it does the attack, it also gives you an iframe. So if you use it right and you have a lot of cooldown skip, essentially this is like 20 seconds of a 20-second cooldown on an iframe, closer to like 25. But yeah, it gives you a lot of getaway options, kind of like Corsair, but it is a little clunkier to play with if you've ever played around with the nuclear option. So I'm just going to show a quick boss demo. This is just a Gloom run where I decide that I'm going to turn on animations. I'll turn down the volume, that was So I guess notable thing I wanted to point out about that was pretty much the burst. It was pretty fast, but it's just literally cannonballs and mines. Like once the cannonballs pass 2.5, 30-second duration where it does all of its lines, it no longer matters whether you're hitting the boss or not with the cannonballs. And then you're just doing your extra personal attacks, which at the end of the day don't do that much damage compared to your burst. Some other things I guess I can show, I will scroll when I'm in darkness and you can see how much mobility options I have. Right, yeah. But yeah, that's pretty much it. The class is it's a completely fine class. I think it suffers a lot in the DPM department, if anything else. Its burst is good, but it's nothing to like write home about. It's not on a, like Night Lord, Night Walker level currently. There are a lot of Canon Masters who are doing like huge overt PRs because you can burst twice. Again, 90-second class, so you can literally burst twice. But other than that, it's suffering a lot from Nexon neglecting it for God knows what reason. I think it could be a fun option for anyone who wants a silly class, but that also fits into the meta really well. But our meta is like shifting so much, it's really hard to predict what's good or not. It has a lot of quality of life adjustments that need to be made, like soon. Yeah, other than that, it's a fun class. Does anyone have any questions for me? Okay. I will end. Oh, yes. Yes, Andre? How heavy are the animations? It's because I turned on. Okay. It's clunky. I'm not gonna lie, it definitely feels like you are holding a cannon when you are using this class. The only time it's fluid, per se, is when you are doing your really crazy air stall. But I get tripped up by a lot because the backstep doesn't go as smoothly as recoil shot on Corsair. So sometimes I think like, oh, I can dodge something on like my Corsair with backstep. It's not the same case with this one. It also suffers from a lot of delay when it just does, like putting down its summons. The anchor has a slight delay. The mobbing skill has a slight delay. Like, there's just weird delays that happen, which makes sense for the class thematically, but not my favorite for playstyle. You'll get used to it eventually. And yeah, that's my presentation. Thank you for listening.